So my name is Kathryn Harrison. I'm a Wharton Lauder grad from the class of 2012. And I want to start by saying congratulations to the organizers. You guys have put on a phenomenal conference. So I think we owe you all a big round of applause. I was really excited to help sponsor this conference because the University of Pennsylvania plays a very special role in my own genesis story for blockchain. So as I mentioned, I got 2 degrees back in 2012, and I was working for IBM in Istanbul, and I had to figure out how to transfer money back every month to pay my student loans. I was paid in Turkish lira, and I had to get money into my US bank account to pay Common Bond, another Wharton startup, for my student loans. And I was sick and tired of paying $30, $40, $50 a month to transfer funds back to the US. And I was griping to a few of my friends, and somebody said, "I've got the answer. Use Bitcoin." This is back in 2014, and I said, "What is Bitcoin and why would I do that?" And I got really excited about the potential and the opportunity that Bitcoin offered. But I never actually transferred money for my student loans with Bitcoin. And I'll tell you why. Because about 3 weeks into my time in Turkey, I was filling out the paper wire transfer form that my bank required. It was all in Turkish. And I put the wrong SWIFT code into the recipient bank field. So let me tell you that $20,000 was lost in the international banking system for over 2 weeks. And I was terrified. This is my entire net worth, basically, just 2 years out of business school. And I realized after 2 weeks, I started thinking, what would happen in Bitcoin? And the money would be gone. So I kept using the banking system, but I was so excited about the potential that this technology had. And so one of the really cool things about working at a company like IBM, you've got 400,000 other really smart people around the world, and I found pockets of different people that were researching, playing, and developing stuff on Bitcoin and on Ethereum. There were researchers ranging from San Francisco to China, and I went to a big conference known as Sibos. Any of you in the financial services space will know that. And I found this sort of underground community at IBM that was looking at how do we actually make this real? How do we make this work for enterprises? And so I immediately jumped on that and have been absolutely excited about the opportunity for the global economy for blockchain. So IBM is looking at this as truly transformative technology. There's a couple of key things that we're doing. We're obviously focused on making sure that the best possible technology is out there to build the future on blockchain. And as IBM, we come with a very specific DNA. We work with the largest organizations that run our global economy. And so we wanted to make sure that that technology was run in a way that could evolve over time. And so we, along with 20+ companies, started the Hyperledger project back in 2015. And Hyperledger sits within the Linux Foundation. You all saw Brian this morning. And that's so critical because they have 20 years of managing open source projects. And there's incredible skills and opportunity that brings to the entire blockchain space. So we are currently actively contributing to 3 different projects in Hyperledger: Hyperledger Fabric, Hyperledger Composer, and Hyperledger Cello. We actually just announced this week that we are working with the Sovereign Foundation and Hyperledger Indy, and we are looking at a whole variety of projects within Hyperledger. So we are really excited about the technology that is going to change the world. But it's not just about technology, and that's part of why I was so excited to be here at Penn. Because while it starts with technology, it is actually about changing how businesses and industries run. And in order to do that, you need not just technologists, but you need business people, you need bankers, you need lawyers, you need all sorts of people that make up this global spectrum to imagine how, when you can share data and transact across companies in ways that were previously unimaginable, what can you do? I always say it's 1994 and we're still dialing up to the internet. And I think that there's a lot that companies are learning and doing that is going to absolutely transform this space. The other key thing that I think is really important, especially at a conference like this, is blockchain tends to fall into quote-unquote religious debates, right? You have true believers where everything has to be open and completely decentralized. And that's the only way that you can do blockchain. And then you have others that say, oh, there's this country club world where everything is private and permissioned and closed. But actually, the reality is a much broader spectrum. And I think one of the most important things that IBM can help bring to the world is getting the connection and conversation across those two divides. I'm really excited about some of the technology that's coming from the public blockchain world, Bitcoin and Ethereum, like zero-knowledge proofs, that's starting to get put into some of the protocols in Hyperledger. That's really exciting. We also see some of the notions of private ledgers, privacy, and point-to-point data sharing from the private permission blockchain world coming back into the public blockchain. And I actually think that 98% of the blockchain community is actually after the same goal, which is to make information more accessible, to make this world a better place. So you have that technology, but ultimately it's about changing industries and businesses. And so IBM is partnering with all different types of organizations, from governments, startups, major companies, to solve really big problems. So there's a couple that are very public that we talk a lot about. IBM Food Trust is trying to make sure that the dinner that's on your plate, we know where it came from, it's safe, and if there's a problem, you can very quickly get to it. Those are the kinds of problems that IBM is really excited about solving, and really excited about convening lots of different people and organizations to come together to solve. Because ultimately, blockchain is really about trust more than anything. And we live in a world where there is a base level of trust. Maybe you don't trust everyone or everything, but you expect the lights will go on, you'll expect Twitter will show you who's read and posted on your feed. You expect that your money will still be sitting in your bank account at the end of the day. And I think that what blockchain can do is to help actually extend and increase trust across the board. So I sat in your seats not too long ago, and what I would say is that this is an incredible space. You've already started, whether you're founding your own company or just learning about blockchain today, there is so much to do, to read, to learn, to build. And be part of that in whatever capacity you want, whether that's investing, whether that's building your own startup, or joining a company like IBM where you can actually contribute to this transformation. There is an entire world that needs your passion, your energy, and your brain power to make transactions, to make data sharing, and to make industry much more efficient and effective. So thank you to the Penn Blockchain Club for an incredible conversation over the last several months as well as today. I'm really excited to see what all of you take and bring to the world. Thank you.